In today's case study, we're going to go over a case of a Pakistani citizen, formerly a green card holder, who had started a marriage immigration case for a spouse and minor child while he was a green card holder and naturalized, became a U.S. citizen while that case was pending. Unfortunately, when my person becomes a citizen, the child falls out of that I-130 petition. As it is, a green card holder could file for their spouse, F2A preference category is the code, and the minor child automatically is in on that one case. But once they become a citizen, as I said earlier, the child drops out of the case, and then a separate case has to be made for a child. I'm going to go over how we expedite the process to have the child match up with the mother's case, because the mother at that point got an embassy interview and the child was left without any case pending. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. I help married couples get green cards, bring their families together, and reunite in the United States, and eventually obtain U.S. citizenship. So let's start again from the beginning. A person was a green card holder, filed for spouse, I-130 petition. Child was in there too. While it was pending, he had enough time in the United States to naturalize Form N-400 application to become U.S. citizen. It was approved. While the case is still pending, because when I'm recording this 2024, the timelines for spouse and green card holder cases went way long. It was essentially no wait on the visa bulletin where you track how long these things are taking, but it went to like 3 years. And so he got really worried because he realized the child's going to fall out of the case. Now, he didn't understand that until after becoming a citizen. And so he contacted me, how can we get the case in? Because my wife's embassy appointment is about to happen right now, and the child's stuck out of nowhere. So one thing that can be done for some of these cases is a thing called exceptional filing, direct filing with the embassy directly, the I-130, to speed the process up. The requirement for this is that the U.S. petitioner, the citizen, be living overseas, physically present there, and be able to attend an interview at the embassy to hand deliver the Form I-130 petition. If they could do that in that consular district, they'll accept direct filing, which means the embassy could quickly see it, quickly approve it, and move the case on to the green card interview stage. So the first stage, I-130, is to show you're really a relative of that person. They'll knock that part out pretty quick. And the second part, the person has to, the child, probably they're going to waive the interview for the child, but they have to then apply for a green card, the Form DS-260, affidavit support documents, all the like. To them, so you could finally approve the immigrant visa for obtaining a green card. So in this case, the U.S. petitioner was coming and going a lot to the home country or his country of birth, but not as much because he had a life here. So we tried to ask the embassy, because he's coming and going, whether he could still do that direct filing, but they said no after about 2 months back and forth, because they said he's not in the consular district to show up and they were not making an exception for it. So then what we had to do is file the I-130 with USCIS. Please note, if you're listening to this and you are living in the consular district, the petitioner, U.S. citizen living overseas in that home country outside the U.S., if you start the case with USCIS, you can no longer take the case for direct filing with the embassy. Once you go to USCIS, you're done. So it's important here to not make any moves until you know which direction you're going to be taking the situation. So now that the I-130 was needed and it couldn't be done at the embassy because the client couldn't go there, we filed with USCIS a Form I-130 petition. We did it online for the minor child. As soon as we received a receipt, we called USCIS to request an expedite. Not approve the expedite. After a week of waiting for it, they said, no, actually, we're not going to approve it, which I was very surprised. I was not expecting that response from them. I thought they were easy to approve it. So we quickly had to turn around and think about plan B, which is to contact the person's local senator in a northeastern state that lives in. So we sent the paperwork to the senator. When you're dealing with USCIS, you have to get specific paperwork authorization to be able to talk with the senator and for the senator to be able to talk with the government about your case. Typically, if you contact a government official on their website, they'll have help with federal agency webpage, and there's a release form that exists for all other federal agencies. But when you're dealing with USCIS, there's a unique form that you complete. So we complete that, sent it to them. And the important thing about dealing with senators nowadays, especially with everyone who's contacting them because the immigration system is so backed up, is you have to follow up with them. So after we submitted, we didn't hear back a couple of days. Then we started the email campaign, phone call campaign, message campaign to the various offices. They had 3 phone numbers. We called 3, kept calling until about 10 days later, we got a response saying we're going to look into it. And probably 2 weeks after that, the case was approved. So essentially, we had filing the case, getting receipt notices, waiting for USCIS to deny the approval, another 2 weeks there, and then another 2-3 weeks of back and forth to the embassy until USCIS said they would approve the case. And actually, I might be off my times a little bit, but essentially it came out to around 2 months 30. So So it took around, looking more at dates and looking over the approval notice, about a month and 3 weeks to get the approval notice for the case. So we're really happy about that. So that case now has to be transferred to the U.S. Embassy System Department of State, the National Visa Center. And then at that point, we also need to make an expedite request for the National Visa Center to move the case to an embassy appointment, because the mother already had her appointment and her visa is going to expire if she waits longer for the child to get an embassy appointment. They can't leave the child in home country to come here. So the next step then is contacting the National Visa Center through their online portal and requesting an expedite due to the circumstances, telling them that USCIS already approved an expedite. Please do so yourself. And they follow up with pretty much a day or two later saying, we're going to think about it, and then they approve it, and they forward it to the embassy for interview scheduling. While that's happening, you still have to complete all the requirements for consular processing, the civil documents, the DS-260, and the affidavit of support, and have those ready. So when the interview happens, you're ready to go. You may need to update some documents at the embassy. But overall, that's the situation with expediting these kind of scenarios. Typically, they will expedite these because it's a unique situation. A lot of people call me about expedites, and unfortunately, it's kind of harder to do it because things are so backed up with the immigration department, whether you're dealing with the embassy system or the USCIS, that people have given up on approving expedites in the government with the senator's office, because unless it's in a very extreme situation, they're not going to approve it. But here, this is really considered an exceptional situation. So they did approve it, and we got it going. I was honestly expecting it being faster than it was, but that's the scenario that happened in this case study. We're very thankful for the senator's office. The USCIS finally get to it. I know they're overwhelmed. And the embassy itself is super backed up, understaffed, so we really appreciate the help they're doing. Unfortunately, it's hard to communicate with them. Every time we contact them, it takes a month to respond back to us if we're lucky. But that's the situation with that's going on in the international bureaucracy of the immigration system. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. If you want to schedule a consultation with our office, please contact us. Go to jqqlaw.com/contact, jqqlaw.com/contact. Fill out the short form so we know what's going on in your case, and we can take it from there. Have a great one.